It's the last half hour of the show on Thursday. That means one thing. It means that we check and see how many cups of coffee our buddy Niko Moreno has had, and it's time to bring him in to discuss everything from the Pacific perspective. Niko, my friend, I salute you. Welcome in on a Thursday to wrap up the show.
My man, what's going on, John? SDH family, I got my second cup of coffee, little Juan Valdez cup in my hand. Having some really good coffee. It's been an exhausting week, really, man. There's been a lot going on around MLS. There's some real highs for some teams, some real lows for others. So, lots to talk about. But, it talks to what's going on around the area, man. I mean, the soccer realm, it's really hitting off.
Jarrett mentioned yesterday that for some reason Seattle just isn't allowed to have nice things. you sign De La Vega, and he comes out of the blocks, and everybody is seeing the promise that's attached, and now he's out for the next 6 to 8 because of a hammy. What's the vibe been like, seeing someone come on like a flash, knowing what he could bring to the table, and then have that just completely squashed?
So I guess we're starting with the lows, huh?
Yeah, man. That's the best. Big news, brother.
Yes, it's tough. It's bad news all around for this Sounders team. The fan base had one thing to hold on to, one silver lining that they saw in 2 games where the team was underwhelming for one reason or another. I understand that there's injuries. I understand that there is a chemistry and a learning curve that's happening that maybe the coaching staff did not see coming. But now you add on the fact that this young DP, first in franchise history, that was as good as he was in small moments, in short moments, and we'll talk a little bit about that because they played him at 2 different positions. But in both of those, there was just flashes of what he could do passing wise, dribbling wise, just an exciting player, creativity. Every time he got on the ball, it was something exciting was happening. And now he's gone 6 to 8 weeks. The team has told us that they've looked into the hamstring injuries. They've looked at the fact that they've had this injuries over and over again. And at the time, it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong or nothing's alarming. Nothing's really sticking out. But Pedro, he's had some issues with hamstrings, right? And this is the right hamstring, the same one that made him have to be removed from the Argentinian U23 camp when Javier Mascherano calls him, and he suffers that injury, tweaks it, is pulled out of that camp, and then he goes to Spain where he tweaks his other hamstring, and now we're back to the right. So it is a little bit concerning. What I'm hearing from the club is that they're being very cautious, so they're not going to rush him back. That's why the 6 to 8 week timetable there, but they're just not going to rush him.
So then when it comes to reorganizing all the carts in the grocery store so you can continue to shop the way that you want to shop on a match day, how has Brian Schmetzer and the staff reorganized everything, knowing that you're not going to have De La Vega? What does that mean? Who steps in? Who moves over? What does it look like going forward in the interim while De La Vega gets fixed?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be something that they haven't practiced. And that's what I kind of led today's segment with, is the fact that the Seattle Sounders are in a little bit of a learning curve. And you can see the miscommunications, the lack of chemistry, lack of cohesiveness when it comes to the attacking end. Even pressuring hasn't been effective. And that's because throughout the whole preseason, everything they did in Spain, they were working off of a 4-2-3-1. They had certain players that were working together consistently. Raul Ruidiaz wasn't one of them. Raul Ruidiaz had been relegated to playing with all the young guys. And now, who's going to come and have to save the day? Raul Ruidiaz, because that is the one guy that has looked really sharp. He's been good on the ball, good in link-up play. We talked to Jordan Morris yesterday. He kind of surprised me by calling him. He's been playing like a little bit of a 10. And, I wouldn't go that far into saying he's playing like a 10, but he's definitely that second striker that is linking up play, that's pulling up defenders from him. And that's how you're going to have to reshuffle this board, right? You're going to have to go into a 4-4-2. You're going to have to forget about playing with a cam at this point because Albert Rusnak's still not ready. He won't be ready for Philadelphia. Maybe against Colorado at home, perhaps he'll be back, and then maybe once again you reshuffle. But the only way that this team is going to play at this moment in time is on a 4-4-2, where Jordan Morris is going to be trying to do Jordan Morris things and trying to get behind the defenders and trying to get in good space. He hasn't been sharp in front of goal, and that's unfortunate because he's a player that needs that one goal to fall in order to get some confidence, in order to really get going. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a 4-4-2 flat. Christian on the right side, Leo on the left side, Jordan Morris and Raul up top. And in the middle, because Joe Paulo's still not ready and he wasn't at practice yesterday, my guess is that they're going to go with the young squad again in Josh Atencio and Obed Vargas. So I really do think that this team is going to have to put their money where their mouth is in terms of the depth of this team coming into this season. We talked about this team being really deep, and now the young guys are going to have to really show how deep this team is. And Brian Spencer is going to have to really start giving these guys confidence and putting them in situations where they have to pull through for the team. Dylan Tevez was really good all preseason. I want to see Danny Leyva. Danny Leyva has to be the best passer out of the young guys in that midfield. So I want to see him get going. So Brian Spencer is really going to have to use these guys in order to get some points as we wait for De La Vega to get back.
And you're going to have to do it in the U12 pitch that is Yankee Stadium, going up against a team in NYCFC that ain't all that. I mean, right now, believe it or not, we actually started talking about hot seats this week with the first couple of match weeks done. Nick Cushing is at the top of the list, or if he's not, he's really close, depending on who you talk to, for coaches who might be needing to update their resumes and their CVs, because NYC has not impressed, and I'm trying to be kind about it because we're only 2 match weeks in. This could be a get-right game for an injured Seattle team trying to figure things out, going up against an NYC team that isn't really doing a whole lot right now, but you're having to do it in that kickabout futsal pitch at Yankee Stadium. So there's a lot of conflicting things here, but it could be a get-right game for Seattle.
Yeah, but it's not in your city. It's Philly. They're playing Philly. They're going to play Philadelphia. And that Philadelphia is coming in from
I'm thinking of Portland, man. I'm out to lunch. That's my bad.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, then disregard what I just said. Now you're going to Philly, and you're having to do it against Jim Curtin and that group that wants to kick you, and they want to sit there, and it's like, all right, we're going to kick, we're going to fall, and you can do that because the officials are not having the new sets of rules. So you're going to Philly. You get to do it in Philly at Subaru Park in that environment, going up against folks that they want to bump you, they want to push you, they want to prod you, they want to force you into mistakes, they want to force you into goading into cards. So screw the idea of that get-right game. I'm sorry about that. You've got Jim Curtin you're going up against this weekend. It gets worse.
Yeah, it's a tough game. I think that we don't match up well at this particular time. By we, I mean the Sounders. I don't like using that, but the Sounders are I don't feel like they match up well because of that. That's a very experienced midfield. That's a team that really gets forward. I want to see this Seattle team hasn't really been challenged other than against LAFC. And now you have a whole different pairing of center backs in Javier Arriaga and Jackson Reagan. So you saw Ure against Pachuca getting good positions, didn't quite put it away. That stuff should have probably had that game for Philadelphia. So they did create some really good moments there offensively. So I think Seattle's going to struggle. I don't know if they match up well. We'll see how the chemistry between Jordan Morris and Raul Ruiz goes into this game, because that's a good defensive team as well. You said it. They're physical. They're not afraid to go to those dark magic moments and giving you some of that, shuffle and elbow and, here and there. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough game for Seattle. I don't think that they'll come out with a win in this one. They would be fortunate to get a draw. And that would be good as it is. That could maybe build some momentum. But I really do think that they're going to not get any points in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and the Union got Andre Blake back. No word on if Blake's going to do the back-to-back or if it's going to be Semley getting the reps this weekend going up against Philly. Now,
you hope they rotate, right? You hope they will rotate, but people close to Philadelphia and fans, they laugh at me when I said rotation and curtain. So, they know that team better than I do. But I would think that because they just played Pachuca yesterday or the other day, on Tuesday, I would think that there may be going to be some rotation. I mean, a lot of those guys played 90 and they played some rough shifts. McGlennon, Brujo, Ura, Gosdak, all those guys play 90, and that's a tough shift. Mbaizo, Harriel, all those guys play 90 minutes. So we'll see if there's some rotation, and maybe that kind of puts things a little bit in a better way for Seattle to at least do a little bit of something. I will say, though, that I do like what I'm seeing from Raul Ruiz. And maybe he's that guy that is going to provide you something that you haven't had so far. He's it here. It's on the record. You could look it up here at SDH. He's my comeback player of the year candidate. And I think that if he gets some goals, he'll be on his way.
Yep. And so we'll keep an eye on rotation, which is a legit point from Tuesday in the goalless draw with Pachuca. Also out west, and you look at what has been going on for the first couple of match weeks. I know that we were staring at Portland, and then you're thinking, okay, they got a 2-0 lead against a DC United team that doesn't have Christian Benteke, and you're thinking, okay, 2 matches, 6 points, Portland's on a roll. And then the defense that we have seen in Portland reared its ugly head, and you end up with a 2-2 draw there. You've got LAG, who they're at 4 points after Cali Classico. Oh, let's go here. What did you, sir, think about the snow game with LAFC and Real Salt Lake?
Look, I'm of the thought process that if there are procedures and there's policies and there is a way to play around weather, because that's just playing in the United States athletics. You have to know that at times you're going to have to play with the elements.
Yeah.
And those rules are established and both coaches know what those are, then you can't really complain about it. And I understand Steve Cherundolo's frustration with the whole thing. But if you really do not want to put your team in that position, then don't play it. Or because they talked to both coaches because of how things were playing out there once they came back from that weather delay. So if you were really that concerned, then maybe you just figure out that you're going to take the fine or whatever, you really go against it. But once you say, yeah, let's do this, and you lose, then you kind of lose that privilege of saying, hey, this was unfair. Both teams had to play the way they did. I know visibility was an issue, but you had the right ball for it. You saw them wipe down all the lines around the pitch. So, they did what they could, and the other team played great. RSL took advantage of what it was, and they moved the ball well around. I thought Andres Gomez, I think this is his year. I think it's his year with RSL. He looked fantastic. Chicho, doing the Snow Angels at LA, Los Angeles FC was great. I mean, all of that I'm in for. LAFC will have to just turn the page, move along. No big deal. Ugo probably never play in the snow again.
Oh, no.
But I thought it was fine. I thought that everybody followed procedure, protocol. RSL was the better team in those 90 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is, the other team played in the same conditions you played in, and they happened to score 3 times. And the $10,000 fine that Cherundolo got, technically it was called for public criticism. which you can do, but then you got to find the safety deposit box with the stacks of cash in the team office, and go, yes, we'll wire it to you, and you sit there and you cut a check or whatever. All right, I've delayed last week's big topic enough, and it's Messi and friends, obviously.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've talked about how I thought they were going to come out and how they were going to approach this season, try to bank as many points as possible off the top, and then try to hang on to whatever position they were in. I still think they're a top 4 team. I don't think they're going to win the East. I think they might win one of the cup competitions. They might win leagues. They might win, they might win that. I don't know if because of where they might be when it comes to the playoffs, all of the schedule compression, all these kinds of things. I think they win a trophy. It may not be the trophy this season. But when it comes to Messi and friends, they put up a nickel on Orlando, and they didn't think twice about the purple team getting hammered. I mean, it was ugly. It was ugly early, and I know that everyone and their mom is sitting there and looking at that match, and they're squealing. It's like literally, it's like going to the Taylor Swift concert. Look at this. It literally that's what you're getting in that kind of a situation. They had no conscience. Didn't need to think twice about it, pounded the purple team, and that, I think, is what folks were looking for when you got the Gulfstream Galacticos together and created what you've got down there in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I think we all just got to pump the brakes. I mean, the narrative here, it's pretty ironic and a little bit, I'm not sure what to call it, maybe I don't know. It moves around in a way that's very interesting, right? Because you got the guys that are cheering for this team to just be unbelievable, to take the shield, to do it all. And then you have the guys that are saying, hey, you know what? This team has got a lot to prove. These guys are older. And you're not saying anything, and that's me because I'm on this side. Yeah. You're not saying anything that's out of the ordinary. I'm just giving you facts, the age, the problems with health, all of these things. Yes, Luis Suarez had a fantastic game, had the brace, had the assist, had it all. But sometimes a game falls away and falls away from a team, and everything falls apart, and he creates this perfect storm for you to get 5-goal score on you. But that's not what we are necessarily measuring this team on. It's not one game where Luis Suarez had a great game and you score 5 goals. It's about longevity. It's about how far can you get? What you just said. Can they win a trophy? Can they get all these achievements that everybody's hoping to get? And that's the real question. So, yes, it was a great game. I thought Orlando City had a plan. And Messi said it after the game. I mean, we were expecting a tough game, physical game, but that early goal just changed everything. And I think after that early goal, everything that you had worked on to try to stop Messi, you started doubting. Very uncharacteristically, this team gave Miami easy goals. Easy goals. I mean, you're passing the ball right to Luis Suarez on a break, right to Lionel Messi. That header that Lionel Messi has, how does the best player in the planet walk into your 18 and there's nobody around him? This is not a big guy. And he headed that ball with no one around him. How does that happen? Gajese, he overcorrects in his movement as well. So there were so many things that went wrong for Orlando that I don't want to call it a blip or just a fluke, but it was a bad game for Orlando. And so we shouldn't push beyond that. But I think that whenever the guys that want this team to do so well say, I cannot believe how many people were doubting Suarez because of some preseason games, just overreacting. Oh, but now you're overreacting off of 2 games? Is that what we're doing? Because, I mean, where is the reasoning on that? You're saying people overreacted on preseason, but now you're overreacting on one bad game from Orlando that Inter Miami was able to capitalize on. So I just think that everybody needs to pump their brakes. We'll see how this team does. I think that they're a deep team. I think they have some good quality players, but we'll see how it all plays out. We'll see how it plays out.
All right, Niko, at El Rolo NW, at Sports Pulso, at the Soccer Bar, and it's time for Cliffhanger. It is that time of the week where we roll through the schedule and I can give juice boxes. I give the juice boxes. Niko will either let me continue talking and go to the next match, or he will say stop, and we will talk about the match in particular, and we'll rock and roll through the schedule for the week. Now, 2 matches, 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. The one that I was trying to credit as a get-right game for Seattle, which is, in fact, a match for Portland to play in the bandbox at Yankee Stadium to take on NYCFC. NYCFC is favored at a minus 114 with everything that they've gone through already this year. I like the draw at a plus 260. Portland to win at Yankee Stadium is a plus 305.
I like the 305. I like that 305. I really do know exactly where you were getting at with New York City FC.
Yeah.
They have been bleak. They have been anemic. They have been irresponsible with play. I mean, the fact that Sands, your experienced center back, someone that should probably be a guy that is a role model for other players within your organization, takes a cheap shot, gets sent off. You were already getting dominated by St. Louis in many parts of the field, and you go and do that. It just tells me that there is a problem with leadership. There's a problem with that coaching not being able to really affect what players are doing on the field. Like I said, they've been easy to score on. They have not been able to score themselves. Santi Rodriguez at times looks way too by himself. The fact that Pompeo was able to get through 3-4 players into your 18 and put it away on the right post of the goalkeeper. That simple, that easy. Nobody grabbed them. Nobody hit them. Nobody. They did nothing. They just watched him like cones just go around and score this goal. So I think that Timbers, with how good they've been, the quality that they have, the momentum that they're carrying, I think they'll go in and get a win at New York City FC.
All right, that's a plus 305. Toronto's hosting Charlotte at home. They're favored at a plus 116. Night side, Atlanta United, I can't let you go, obviously, any further. Atlanta United, home opener, minus 135, going up against New England, who was pretty comfortable in a half-rotated side, taking care of business against our friends from Costa Rica, Alajuelense in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. The draw and the revs on the road are within the margin of error in and around plus 315. What do you think?
I don't even put any juice boxes on this one, but I like Atlanta winning. I will go for it. I'm going to just dive right in. I think that New England, they will have some handicapping situation when it comes to rehab, and the game that they just played. Chancalay looked fantastic against Alajuelense. There's no doubt about that. He's a great player. He's going to be a guy that he's going to be an X factor for the New England Revolution. But defensively, I thought that even old Joel Campbell was getting into some positions to score some goals. You've heard me talk about New England and why I think that there's a lot of holes there with Caleb's team. So I am going to go ahead and take Atlanta in a get-right game, a big, I don't want to call it a blowout, but I think they'll score a couple of goals, and they'll take this one.
I'll put up a couple of numbers. I like how you think. Crew hosting the Fire, they're a big favorite at a minus 175. Red Bulls, favored at a minus 154, hosting FC Dallas. Purple Team, favored at a minus 111 against the Loons, Minnesota United, who are still waiting for Eric Ramsey to get to this side of the Atlantic at a plus 284 on the draw, plus 272 for Minnesota United to win outright. Philadelphia, you mentioned your match. Philadelphia on the plus side, favored at a plus 114 in the composite. Seattle on the draw, both at a plus 239. Austin in all caps, St. Louis City. Austin favored at home at Q2. Boy, do they need one.
I'll take it.
Okay. Austin.
I'll take St. Louis. Austin, I mean, you saw them play here at Lumen Field. There was nothing special about them. Mm-hmm. I think that there should be a warrant out for Rigoni's arrest because he has been stealing money from Austin for far too long. even when Jossie came in, I didn't think they were any more dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that they open up a little too much. Those passing lanes get wider and wider as the game goes along. When they go into a deep block, that's probably when they're at their best. That's what they did against Seattle. I would just block shot, just get a lot of numbers behind the ball. But I think that St. Louis, with their pressure, with their athleticism, with how well they've been playing, man, and Pompeo, man, he's a guy that's on the come up, man. He is really looking good for that team. Dan Aran is on a tear. Klaus is going to be what Klaus does, hopefully doing some of the things he did last season. I just think that St. Louis is going to beat down on Austin, and I'll take that for sure. I'll put some juice boxes on that.
At a plus 206. RSL hosting Colorado. They're favored at a minus 143. You know, don't know which Colorado you're going to be getting so far these days. I think RSL takes care of business. LAFC at home late, hosting Sporting at a at a minus 159. LAFC at home at BMO, a minus 159 as Sporting Kansas City comes to town, north of plus 410 for Sporting Kansas City. By the way, LAFC, they're up to 21 players on their active roster. They've actually added folks. So they don't have 17 or 18. They're up to 21. Let's see how many of them have thawed out after what happened last week. Late game Saturday night, San Jose on the plus side favored against Vancouver at a plus 117. Now the teams that played in CONCACAF, they got pushed to Sunday. Cincinnati in the afternoon at a minus 112 with DeAndre Yedlin now at the back. Right back, one of the big things they needed to address. They addressed it with DeAndre Yedlin now. Minus 112 hosting DC United. DC United a plus 271 to win that one. Nashville.
Yeah, I don't ever put any juice boxes on that one either, but Cincinnati, man, they are just plugging away, getting the right personnel. I thought Chicago allowed them into a game that they probably could have won. Chicago could have, but they didn't because they're Chicago. And I don't know how a ball bounces, where it bounces and it lands in your former Atlanta United center back's feet, and he just goes right in. So those are the things that I just drive me crazy. But Cincinnati, DC United, I think that's going to be a pretty good game. Similarly, I thought that DC United, even without Benteke, did pretty good against Portland. I thought Christian Dahome was dangerous. So I like what I'm seeing from DC. I think it's going to be a good one. I like it for a draw, to be quite frank. So, yeah.
That draw option is a plus 282 in the composite. Two more matches to go. Nashville hosting LAG at Geodis after playing Messi and friends tonight in CONCACAF. Nashville favored at a plus 112. The draw is a plus 267. LAG is a plus 219. I like the draw because I think Nashville's going to try to choke the life out of this one. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting game on the board, but I'll take a draw. Scoreless, maybe 1-1. Maybe Paints will get something. Maybe you get something from somebody other than Hani Mukhtar for Nashville SC. They signed Hani Mukhtar to a longer-term deal. Nashville now controls the asset if Hani is being courted overseas again. Last match on the board, 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Messi and friends against CF Montreal. Big favorite at home at a minus 182. And we mentioned the DeAndre Yedlin deal. Federico Redondo looks like he's now under the fold. They might be chasing after Franco Escobar, which is what we're hearing is the name on the board from the Houston Dynamo. They might be getting Matias Rojas because he is no longer under contract at Corinthians. You got this is one of the biggest massages of the salary structure that I've seen, where they're being at least transparent about it, not given 5 DPs when you're only allowed 3. But I mean, legitimately, you're getting rid of salary, you're dumping salary, and you're praying that the young guys that you either have, Allen, Avilas, Kromoski when he's healthy, are going to be doing the running in addition to Redondo. And now you've got Julian Gressel as your right back until you rejigger what you're looking at. If you're Tata Martino, I'm still thinking juice boxes under normal circumstances. You take the over. I'm thinking this one, you probably take the over too. I think that Messi and friends try to put up an early number against Laurent Courtois, but it's an interesting contrast of styles to wrap up the week.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. And I like everything that you said. I think that Tata Martino has a lot of options. I do think that Matias Rojas is going to be that guy that ends up down there. They do need a full-time right back, and they like Gressel a little bit higher. I think Federico's going to be, I think he's a baller. I think if he's not top three prospect in Argentina, then I don't know what to tell you.
Better be 8 million and 15% of the pass. He better be, man.
Absolutely. No, and he's something that they don't have, which is, well, yeah, I think into his extent of what he could potentially do in the middle of the field, I think that he's very unique. So I do believe that Tata is going to know how to play it. I think that I like Gressel as a right back. You've seen Tata do a lot of things with that position. So I have no doubt that he's going to figure it out. I do like the over against Montreal. I think it's going to be one that maybe it's a 3-1, 4-1 type of situation. The LA Galaxy game is interesting for me too. I would like to say the LAG wins because they've been so good. I think Pencil gives them a lightning bolt that they haven't had on the outside in a very long time. I think he makes everybody around him better. I like his vision. I like the intelligence. We'll see what happens when Peck comes back and see if we begin to see Triple P, because Fagundes has also been playing really well. Fagundes gives out a great outlet for those overlapping runs. But I think LAG, to my surprise, has looked very, very good. But I think Nashville probably does make this really uncomfortable. It's hard to run behind defenders when they're already there and they're not moving. No. So if you don't give Pencil where to run, it might be a difficult game for LAG. So I do like the draw on that one as well.
To answer your question, that 3.5 for Messi and friends in Montreal is where it flips to the plus side at a plus 143 at 3.5. So that's your flip where it goes from minus to plus. So 3.5, which you thought you were pretty comfortable at, that's a plus 143, and then it goes up from there.
4 might not be enough for it. The over kind of bit me in the back against Columbus, and actually the juice boxes in general, because I have Columbus winning, and that late goal really bit me in the back.
Well, yeah, you ain't the only one, brother. 4.5 for the records of plus 329. All right, hit the promo for me. Since we are in stoppage time, what's going on with Pulso Sports and the Soccer Bar?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Pulso Sports, we have a little recap of the week. What happened before was going to happen against Philadelphia, some health things that go on with the Sounders. I'm going to start doing something called After the Final Whistle because people want me to do a little bit more breakdowns post-game. I didn't do that at the stadium, so I ended up doing it at Long Acres with Jeremiah O'Shan for Sounder Are Hard. So that's going to be up here in about 30 minutes or so. Check that out. Really good one. We talk about, 12, 15 minutes, possibilities, young players, depth, where this team is at. Don't jump off your balcony just yet. A whole bunch of things for this Sounders team. Obviously, we have voices from Jordan Morris, as well as Josh Atencio. And then we have a Spanish full exclusive with Javier Arriaga. That's really good. That should be up by the afternoon today.
Looking forward to it, as always, my brother. It is great to catch up with you on Thursdays and get the Pacific perspective and see how things are going out there. We will be back at it again with Thursdays with Niko at El Rolo and W on the 280 Character app this same time next week. Be safe and well, my friend.
Thank you, John. Have a good one.